Welcome back, my horde. So, yeah, I'm not really quite sure. Um, as you can tell, this is coming out late. Things, again, did not go the way that we wanted them to. It's really hard to convince anyone to hang out with us, it feels like.
Yeah, whether it be their spouses or them having issues coming over or having the time to even just hang out for a bit.
Yeah. Or just people being busy when you do hang out, when you do see them, they're just they want to do, other things or whatever. So you don't get to do a lot of what you want to do. For example, seeing Tammy's sister. I want to do a podcast with her at some point, but it's impossible because every time we see her, she has her kids, and there's no real good place to just go, the three of us, without kids in the background. Stuff like that. So it starts becoming quite difficult to do that. So yeah, it's a little irritating because it's really hard to come up with stuff to talk about because I don't know if these podcasts just don't do well. To be fair, nothing on my channel does well. So the fact that the podcasts are not doing extremely well, it's not a shock to me. But yeah, just because of that, I don't get a lot of feedback, and because I don't get a lot of feedback, it's really hard to create stuff based off of your feedback. Because I don't get any. But anyway, without this being a couple minute podcast, Tammy had suggested we talk about Loki, like we have been a couple of podcasts. However, this is Wednesday. We literally just watched the season finale of Loki. So, yeah, not really that fair, spoiler system there.
Yeah.
So we're not going to be doing that. Instead, we're going to be talking about, I think, role-playing.
Which is fair.
Which I'm going to pretty much give the room to Tammy. For the most part. And she seems so thrilled with it. She was also yawning. But yeah, no, we're playing, I think we've brought it up before, but we're playing with our one friend, and it was based off of the Norse mythology and stuff like that. And a large amount of things have changed the world. And ironically, I say because of the concept of, Loki in general, dealing with multiverses and different timelines, this is pretty much where we were going with this.
Yeah, it kind of feels like it runs somewhat in tandem.
Despite the fact that I made this,
yeah,
last year, I started this campaign.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, it was just, I also have in my, I have an overarching world that I use for role-playing. And to make everything kind of be able to still go together, the idea was to make everything part of a multiverse. So that way, if I want to introduce another character that was really important, I could just throw them into the multiverse. If someone's like, oh, I have this idea, we can just, it doesn't work for what we've been doing before, I can just create a different multiverse. So, yeah. Sorry, I had to burp there. Tammy and him have been playing. We didn't do a lot of Tammy's stuff in person because we've been they're now separate for a bit. And yeah, Tammy's, we talked about it the last couple days. We were talking about it. If that friend is watching, which I doubt he is, but if he's watching, you get to hear random stuff that you're never going to hear about.
Hooray!
Because I'm not going to tell him. I am not going to tell him what happened to Tammy at all. It's just Tammy will appear. But the idea is the fact that they entered a void or oblivion. I gave it a couple different titles because how I always go with certain things is that in certain cultures they would call it one thing, while in other cultures they would call it another thing.
Yeah.
So, the idea behind this void or oblivion is that when you enter, even if you enter as a group, it brings you on a personal journey. This personal journey, basically, the entire purpose of it is to enlighten you about random stuff. Sometimes it doesn't make sense to you, but it's still there. However, the end also with it is this thing can actually take away or give you things, mattering on just your sheer luck. Because I was just rolling dice to see if it succeeded. So yeah. They wanted to be ageless and they wanted to have special weapons. So I gave them that. And yeah, they didn't lose anything, luckily. The one guy, the other person other than Tammy, if he had started doing as much as he did, he may have gone insane, but stubbornness kind of runs in him. So it was okay.
There was a lot of rolls.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
So at the end of Oblivion, you actually are in a area where there is no concept of time. So therefore, all things happened at once. So people that have gone in there 600-700 years ago are in that room and they could have talked to you. So he talked to some people and then he left, hoping that he would meet his friends again and his wife. And when he left, basically, he is a descendant of Thor. And he lands on a planet with Asgard, basically Asgard. But it's like a barren wasteland because Ragnarok has happened. And in that universe, which I have probably explained this before, but I'll quickly go over it in case you're curious. In my universes, how they formed is that this main place, there was no universes, but in this main place, every time a god died, their essence had to go somewhere, so it made itself into a universe because of how powerful the gods are. The more powerful the god was, the more powerful the universe was. And whatever their belief system was, or their feelings were, that universe becomes that. So if they were really evil and cruel person, the universe is very evil and cruel. If they were a really nice person, the universe overall is more nice and forgiving. Some of them then decided that they didn't have to die to do this. So they would actually create it as a group and then go into one. So some of the universes are weaker than other universes. They came from a strong universe and they're going into a weak universe because they went into the strongest universe. Now they're going to the weak one, not the weakest, but a weaker one. So on this planet, Ragnarok was a death cloud that had been hidden underneath the planet the entire time. And Odin had been suppressing it. In the moment, if I remember my Norse mythology, the idea is the fact that Odin dying will cause Ragnarok. So the idea behind it is, in this essence, upon Odin's death, this cloud would actually kill everybody immediately. So yeah, that's what happened. And the only people that survived were anything outside the 9 realms that were on this planet. The kicker to this different story, because all this is just different stories, different takes on the concepts. In this universe, the different take on it is that Earth is not part of the 9 realms. It is actually a 10th realm that Asgard has actually taken. And that Midgard is basically a 10th realm. And that when I was doing research about this thing, I found out that there was actually 2 different takes about the 9 realms. Both had Midgard as part of it, but it had it so that there was sometimes one of the planets was actually 2 separate planets, and sometimes they were one planet, and then, Hell was actually a planet. When those ones were together, Hell was an actual place. One of the 9 realms. When it was separate, it wasn't, or whatever. It was like an offshoot area. But anyway, my point being here is the fact that in this one, it isn't a 9 realms. So this red mist stuff that killed everyone did not kill a single human.
Or hybrid human.
No, it killed hybrid humans.
Okay.
Because they're part Asgardian. It didn't kill any of the humans, which would be the slaves and servants to them. The ones that were of low stock and didn't deserve to be eating at the table of Valhalla. Which, in this concept, is... Valhalla is more of like a restaurant rather than an actual, like, place. Instead of it being like heaven kind of idea. It is just like, you get to go to Asgard and actually eat, like a warrior. You just get to be treated as, like, better stock, so your generation actually would breed into the Asgard, the Asgard people. But yeah. So yeah, he's actually picked up the Spear of Odin and has actually become King of Asgard. And yeah, he's got a bunch of other things that he can do, which we will see what he does. Tammy made a Dark Elf originally. A Dark Elf Ice Giant hybrid. Because we were doing a lot of hybrids. Because we were trying to just have fun. So in like the original universe they came from, Tammy is a Dark Elf Ice Giant hybrid. Who, after losing a war, the entire people, after losing a war to Asgard, had finally become citizens of Asgard, I guess. Is how we were wording it. Yeah. They were basically, instead of being like servants or, subservient, they actually were basically a lesser being, but given citizenship. So they just basically had to slowly earn the respect of the Asgard people. And, Tammy making the Dark Elf, she likes drows in D&D, so it's pretty much the same concept. So, what we had planned is that she'll actually arrive in the other universe before the other guy does, and he will land on, instead of the 9 realms, he actually lands on a drow planet. And on the drow planet, he being tall, which drows are not normally tall. Drows, I think, are like D&D elves are like supposed to be like 5 foot something. So he's like 6'4".
Yeah. As a drow.
Yeah. So how Tammy already created a bloodline of drows in which they were already tall. And because of their superior height, they were classified as like better stock.
Yeah, they were considered like high nobles. Because there's nobles and, peasants and so on and so forth, like how it regularly would be, but it's a matriarch system. So if you were a tall female, you were highest tier person.
Yeah. So, and then there's also other stuff that, takes effect. Like, the idea behind it is, like, you would still, you could be, 7 feet tall, and the other girl could be 6'6", but she could be more superior than you because of her family standing and stuff like that. But the 7 foot is still good stock. Anyway, so because he was actually, a large man, he was classified as good stock. So all the other female drows were trying to actually suppress him and make him their husband, because if you have a strong husband, you can use him to better yourself. Basically is how the drow kind of worked it. Was like most of them married into families to either embarrass them or to use them. Just kind of like how even, like, our history, men used to do the same thing. They used to have their daughters marry off to people so they can, you know, or marry a girl so that they can actually bond their families and grow stronger in some form, fashion, or way. That's what a lot of marriage was. So anyway, as he was basically trying to be, controlled, because he's actually from a different universe, he's actually stronger than all these people. So how I was explaining it is the fact that if you do 10 damage to him, he actually removes the 0 at the end. So he only takes 10% of the damage, basically.
So yeah, that 10 damage becomes 1 damage.
Yeah.
And then he has other things that take into effect, like damage reduction and element resistance of whatever types.
Yeah, and then whenever he outputs damage, he usually adds a 0 to it. So when he hits someone for 4 damage, he actually will do like 40 damage. So because of these things, it was hard for any of them, and they're trying to figure stuff out. And then basically this very tall drow drops down and basically looks at him, has a talk with him. She tries to use a spell on him. He counters it, throws it back at her. She counters it and throws it back at him. And basically, then they have their talk. Which, yeah, their talk is basically the concept that she needs to marry someone because, she's unwedded and her parents are pretty, her mother basically is very adamant that she starts marrying someone, but she doesn't want to marry just anyone. But she also wants to marry someone who will just, leave her alone. Not leave her alone, but not... She doesn't want to play the game. That's the concept behind it. She doesn't want to play the political game. She's not important enough to be front line anyway. Like, her mother had, 3 daughters. She's the youngest. So she's not important, but she still needs to have a bloodline. So he, not really wanting to settle down originally either, realizes that he's just going to, people are going to come after him. He's not an idiot. Now realizing that she's strong like him, and there is others that are strong like him, someone's going to eventually try suppressing him. And he's going to lose some war, eventually. So he agrees with it under certain terms, and then they talk, and then they do come to a mutual understanding. And they have a kid. The mutual understanding that they came up with is the idea that if they have a girl, she has to raise it as one of the high nobles. But if they have a boy, he can raise it whatever way he wants to. So he agrees, and they're only going to have one child. So they have their one child, who happens to be twins, a male and a female. So they start, getting stuff ready to, split them apart and stuff like that. And then, as I'm explaining all this to Tammy, this is where I'm going to go with her character, that she's actually going to be playing these twins. And Tammy's like, how am I going to play the twins? They're going to be so much different. Because all the girls are given a blessing. But the boys aren't given blessings. I'm like, I have all this sorted. And she's like, okay, I trust you because, you're that crazy little monkey that creates all these cool little ideas, and I love you for that. So, I'm like, yeah. When she gets the blessing moves to him as well. Tim's like, oh, are they soulbound? I'm like, yes, they're soulbound. She's like, yes! So Tim even knew where I was going with this as I was saying it. So yeah, the idea behind them is that they are going to be soulbound, like I said. They are going to use the exact same gun, the exact same sword, the exact same daggers. They're going to be the exact same height, the exact same weight, the exact same build, with very little differences between them. So they're both going to be partially masculine and partially feminine. Wow, I said that word really weird. She will actually have a child with a drow already. when we start, like, she basically, as soon as she became of age, she basically got herself a husband, got pregnant, had the baby. Luckily, the baby was female, and basically just walked away. The males do usually raise children, according to Tammy, in her stuff, so it's not that bad. He, on the other hand, broke the system hard. He married a elf. So completely not a drow at all. An actual elf. A high elf. And they had a boy, and he's walked away. So that two of them can go on adventures. But yeah, Tammy's going to get, like, you know, a bunch of cool benefits and stuff like that. She thinks it's going to, one part annoy, one part amuse the other player. Because he always gets mad when people do cool shit, cool fuckery shit. Because the fact that he wishes he could do the cool fuckery shit. And they're going to be able to, like, teleport to each other and shit like that.
Yeah, and they'll still be part ice giant as well, so...
Yep.
My main character was able to double his height, so he could grow to 12 foot 8. But, so the kids are pretty much going to be able to go about, not double height, but, like...
Half.
So they'd be, if they're, 6'2", then they could, increase up to 9'3".
Yeah. Yeah, that would be the idea, yes.
So.
And yeah, Tammy has to do some other details that she's going to have to work on. But yeah, the other thing is the fact that they are going to have spiders, which is a drow thing. But their spiders are actually going to be very unique in the concept that they're going to have one of every element of spider. Basically, one acid, one fire, one electrical, one ice. And the idea is the fact that they're going to milk their poison and use those as bullets that they save. So the revolver can actually shoot out acid bullets. And stuff like that.
Yeah, it'll probably just be I think there's 5 elements.
I believe so, besides Sonic. I know, maybe not. There's acid, like I said, acid, fire, electrical, ice. There's the 4. There's only the 4.
Yeah, because I guess Sonic is the only wonky one.
Yeah. But yeah, so the idea is the fact that, you know, that's what they're going to be doing. So it'll be interesting to see how that works out. I know Tammy's looking forward to it because they're going to have some fuckery that she's going to really enjoy. So yeah. Anything else you want to add to that?
No, because I have to work out more details.
Yeah. Okay, well, we're going to end this here. 1, because it's 23 minutes, and 2, because it's freaking hot in this house. It's this TV. It's all the electronics in this room. It's just there's so many electronics and stuff that... And we have to turn off all the fans and stuff like that to actually...
So there's no random background hum?
Yeah, because, like, I'm going to do it just so you guys can understand. But, like, it's just for the end bit. It's not awful or anything, but it's enough that I don't like it. That's the fan. I don't know if you guys can actually fully hear that or not. I heard it when I was doing the thing. I can hear the in the background, so yeah. So, nonetheless, because of that, that's just one of the fans. That's not all the fans. That's just one of the fans. So, yeah. Anyway, I think next week, I'm hoping next week, I do have a group podcast. I'm supposed to be seeing the one friend tomorrow. And if I see him tomorrow, hopefully, we'll record one then. And then hopefully, if we actually do this, like what I've been trying to do for years. Seriously, I've been trying to do this for fucking years. Actually, it's not years. I guess it's been a year and a bit. Because I started, like, last year. This whole stuff. So it's been a year and a half. But anyway, what I've been trying to do for the year and a half is like the idea that I'd record this. And then tomorrow I'm going to record a podcast with a friend. And then hopefully on Saturday I'll record another podcast with him and his girlfriend. And then on Monday maybe I'll record another podcast. And then basically just have multiple podcasts lined up. Where like if I missed one I can just shove it in there or whatever. So that way I can be like, oh yeah, here's me and Tammy again. But this is like, 3 months where me and Tammy have not been alone and we can actually talk about things. But the problem is just like everyone's so busy and stuff like that. So I'm hoping that he comes over. We will see. I also want to do another, like, there's also like different people I want to do podcasts with and stuff like that. Like I want to do a podcast with my sisters. I want to do a podcast with Tammy's sister, but it's just like, because of the fact that she's not actually my sister, and this is for my channel, I feel a little weird asking. And then by the time I go to ask, like I said, it's so busy. But nonetheless, I've now done my 3-minute rant. So see you guys next time. Bye guys.